Today I want to take you along making the signatures for my junk journal I was challenged to make by my friend Shariqa using only the vintage ephemera I have been sent. Welcome, it's Barbara from Vienna, Austria. If you happen to stumble upon this video before seeing the other ones, I suggest you watch the unboxing of all of these goodies with all the information about the challenge, as well as the making of this cover first. You can find the playlist linked below. So in the last episode, we made this cover together. If you remember, we have this panel that you can take away, which also functions as a closure. That's the inside. And then we have this cover, which Shariqa actually wanted me to use as a cover. And this is what the inside looks like. So the next step is to make some signatures, and I may only use the paper that I have here from Shariqa. And also for the ephemera, I'm only allowed to use all these vintage pieces that I was sent. And while these are all just absolutely stunning, it is a challenge to not use anything else. Like I don't have any fabric. I do have this beautiful lace, but I don't have fabric, I don't have buttons. I am allowed to add like colors and stamping and all of that. So let's see what I can do. So the only thing I've done in the meantime is to spray some coffee on some of the ephemera that looked too plain in my eyes. So I'll just show you that here quickly. Some of the pages of the booklet. And we had this beautiful paper here. And we had these menus and some invoices. Two pieces of onion paper. The sound is amazing. Some blank letter paper. Sewing patterns. And the rest of the booklet, which I left as is. So there's not a whole lot of images here to work with as focal points. That's another challenge that I see for myself. So I'm going to go through everything again to see if there might be anything I could use as a focal point. Although I will need to actually use these pages as signature pages because there's not a whole lot of paper. Could use her, but I would hate to kind of cut this up. I think I'd rather use it as a signature page. These, of course, would be awesome to make ephemera with. Should I sacrifice this one page? I think I have to. Okay, so I'll cut all of these out. These will actually make a really nice ongoing theme within the journal. I like that. Don't think there was much in these here. Like sure, you could use something like this. You could use something like this to make a cute journaling card as well. This for round embellishment. I'll have to think about whether I want to mix that with the other style because obviously the styles are very, very different. I mean, you could definitely make it work. I will think about it. Again, these, I think I need to use as journal pages rather than cutting these out. I could cut this out. I'll think about that. These, of course, can be used as focal points. We do have some here, some small ones. These I'll use more for collaging, I think. There were some floral images. And we have these, of course. This one is a bit of a challenge here because it's very thick and heavy. And these lightweight papers will not support that. So I think the only way to include this would be like either on the back or the front of the cover. Same with, well, these are both fairly thick, but at least they're not as heavy. This one is heavier. So again, here maybe we'll have to add him to the back cover somehow. Yeah, I need to think about that. I have these beautiful vintage florals. So these will make great focal points, obviously. And just as a reminder, in case you're drooling over this ephemera, please check out the links below for Shariqa's shop and Instagram. So I cut out all 9 of these beautiful hat illustrations. I left the hat numbers on them. So chapeau is French for hat. And you see numbers 1 through 9. So cute. And since I didn't want to waste the scraps of the pieces in between the heads, I used some dies to cut all of these out. So these will be great for decorations. The dies I used for these are these here, all of which I will link in the description box for you. The only ones that I cannot link are these feather ones because that's just a random die. Next, I want to construct my signature pages, and I can use the panel that I made for the cover as a guide for which size I can use. So I should not have any papers that are bigger than this. This bigger page I can first tear in half. So the height is fine. If I fold it in half, it's still going to be too wide. So what we could do is leave one side as like a regular page. Let's take this as a template so I know where to fold. And then the extra bit that I have here, I can just fold in to make a tuck spot. And on this one, we can do exactly the opposite. We can make the right side our regular journal page and fold this part in. For this beautiful one, I definitely want to keep this image. So again, I will tear this in half. And this time I don't want to fold anything in because I don't want to lose any of that image. So I think I'm just going to tear away the edges. And for the bottom half, I'm again going to tear away the edges. And since I don't want all of this dark part here on my pages, I'm going to fold this up to form pockets. And the last one of the big ones is this one. Again, I want to keep this image, so I'll tear first here, which is not in the middle, but I want to keep this title here. Oh, the height is still fine actually. And then I want the fold to be exactly where the middle of these two images is. So I can just tear off a little bit here. And with this one again, I'll just make it more narrow. Fold this part up because I want to have this full illustration there. And fold that in half. Then we have this huge sewing pattern. So I'm first going to tear this in half. think these kind of images make cute centerfolds. This one we could use to make a pocket or side-loading tuck spots. We'll keep that. For the second half of the sewing pattern, I'll first tear it down to the right height. Again, I can keep these for something else. And this time we'll just fold in the sides as flaps. And I'm not going to make these into pockets. These can just be fold outs. And we have our letter paper. So I'll tear that down to the height we need. Fold that in half. And this one we can do sideways. Again, I just need to tear it down a little bit. I'm going to tear these onion skin papers in half. We could fold these more diagonal like this, just to have some more interesting shapes as well. And the other two I folded in rectangles. Then I tore down one of these invoices and I'll just fold that in half. On this side again, I'll just make a fold out without sewing it. For this one, I think this part here with the stamps will make a really nice tuck spot. So I'll just shorten this down and then we have this extra piece. Whoops. No problem, we'll use that anyway. That actually looks pretty cool, doesn't it? Can we make that fit? We just need to take off a bit from the top and we can make it look like it was all planned. We can just fold all of these small invoices in half. We have this envelope. We can just cover this here up with a ticket or something. It's open here. We could just glue that back on and we could open it here as well so that we have a double pocket. So I want to make 5 signatures. I think they'll have 5 pages each. Let's see. So I know each signature is going to get one of these and one of these coffee splattered ones. One actually gets 2 coffee splattered ones. That's fine. Then I have 6 of these. So 4 signatures will get the full size one and one will get one with the folded up flap. I'm not putting them in any order yet. I'm just organizing the papers for each signature. Then I only have 3 of these. So I'll put one in the first one, the third one, and the 5th one. Then I have these colored invoices, so each signature gets one of those. I want to spread out the blue ones. Okay, I have this. I have 4 of these onion skinned papers and I have 2 more of these invoices. So that's 5. I can take those and distribute those. That. And I have these left over. Oh, actually I have this as well. Okay, that's great. So there's 5 random pieces that I can just add as well. Let's not put this one where I already have the one with the flap. So let's add that to another one, maybe the middle signature in this one. 3. And then let's put this envelope in the first one. This one doesn't have an onion skin one, so we'll add this one. The third one we already added this one. So the fourth one gets the blue one because it has the pink invoice. And the last one gets this letter. Perfect. That means each signature has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages. So next I just have to organize them. So this is actually the last one. See, I mixed them all up now. Okay, this was the first one with that envelope. I always think it's nice to start off with a piece that is smaller than the next piece because it kind of invites you into the journal. Since this one has coffee on it and this one does as well, I'd rather put one in between that has no coffee. Then we can add this one. Then let's add the yellow receipt. And this one, oh, I do have 2 coffee dyed ones next to each other, but I definitely want this as my centerpiece. Okay, so that could be signature 1. And this next one, I'll start off with this one. So that will be next to this one. No, maybe I don't want to do that. Let's put this one in. No. Okay, I'll start the next one off with this one. So for this one, I don't really have a very interesting centerpiece unless we add 2 really nice cards in here. So let's keep that in mind, that we might want to change that centerpiece. Maybe I should check that first. Does this one have a centerpiece? Yeah, here we have this one. So we know this one goes in the middle. We could start with this one. Oh, see, here we have 2 that would work both as centerpieces. So I'll switch this one out, leave this in the center, put this in between. Why do we have 2? Something is wrong here. And this one only has 5. Okay, so we're going to put this one in here as a middle piece. And then we need to add another paper here. I don't know which one was missing. What did I do? How many papers does this have? Okay, this one is good. Okay, this has 6. That's good. So that one's okay. What's happening here? 7. Okay, I must have miscounted. I'm going to take this one out. You know what? One signature can have 7. That's totally fine. So that's number 3. Let's check for a centerpiece here. None here. What about this one? Okay, none here either. Okay, so I'll just have to work with my ephemera to make the middle more interesting. It's also 7 here. What did I do? That's a centerpiece. Okay, so that's 6. So that's 5 signatures. Why don't I just add this in somewhere, a 7th page. So in total we have 32 pages. So 3 of the 5 signatures have 6 pages and 2 have 7 pages. Let's check how they would look in here. I think it's plenty because of course they're going to get bigger because of the other paper bits we'll be adding. Yeah, I think that is really plenty. Yeah. I have these 5 strips of paper left over that I've already torn down to the right measurements. And I'm simply going to attach these to various pages as tuck spots. So I'll do that with my sewing machine And I'll also sew down all of these flaps on the sides. So as you can see from the threads sticking out everywhere, I've done some sewing. And I've also added some embossing. I really am trying my best not to grunge this up too much because I want these beautiful vintage papers to speak for themselves. That's why I don't want to add a lot of color or anything like that. Not a lot of like special effects and like bam things, because really these papers are so gorgeous and I don't want to cover them up with anything flashy. So let me just give you a quick flip through of what they look like without having anything else in them or on them. So here we have a tuck spot. I glued these on with my double-sided tape. I got a comment recently asking why apparently everyone is using double-sided tape at the moment. I was not aware that everybody was using it. I'm using it because I have 2 of these rolls and I'm trying to use them. That's the only reason, and I do appreciate the fact that there's no glue mess. So I really like working with this, especially for delicate vintage papers. I think it's really nice. Then we have this pocket here. We have one here. And then look at this. I am so in love with this, and this actually was more or less an accident, as these things so happen when you try new things especially. So I have this cool embossing folder. It's one of these 3D texture fade folder things by Tim Holtz. All the embossing folders and dies and everything I'm using are linked below. It's the one with the alphabet numbers. And I ran it through my embossing machine and it started tearing in places. So I thought, okay, what can I do to save this? So I glued it onto the extra pamphlet page that we had, that I didn't use before for my signatures. And as I glued it, there were some very small parts that were completely torn off, like maybe here. So I thought, oh my goodness, how cool does that look? So after I glued it on, I then just rubbed away with my nail a few other spots to have more of this text from underneath showing through. And then I added some walnut stain with my makeup brush on top to just crunch it up just a little bit. And I just love how this turned out. It would look really cool, more grunged up, but yeah, not for this journal. Then that's the other side of this pocket. Signature 2. Then I used another one of my new embossing folders. So cool. Totally inspired by Louise. This time I misted my paper a little bit before putting it in the embossing machine, and this time it did not tear. So thank goodness for that. I again added some of my walnut stain on top just to have those fun circles come out a little bit more. Added a pocket here. Then we have one here in the middle. I love the threads hanging and all that texture that they provide. Another pocket here, that's the back side. Signature 2. Then we have another one. This one again worked. It was like the onion skin paper. So again, we have this embossing. And this time, rather than using my makeup brush, I just used the oxide ink pad and went over the design just like that, which of course gives a much harsher, grungier look. And we have this flip out. So it's still very empty, as you can see, but it is starting to get some character. And this is signature 4. Again, we have a pocket here. This embossing folder here, again, tore a bit, even though I misted the paper. So I guess it always depends on the paper. So I then glued it onto another one of these pamphlet pages. So this signature now has 7 instead of 6 pages. I love this one so much. I didn't even go over it with any distressing because I think it is so gorgeous, and especially for a vintage journal like this, I want to leave it just as it is. One side tuck spot there. Flip out. That's the new paper. This is signature 5. Tuck spot. More embossing, which is really hard to see. Again, I went over it directly with my oxide ink pad. This one didn't turn out as much. I think I misted it too much, and when it was too wet, after it was dry, it didn't really look as good anymore. It's the back side. And another pocket here. So now we have 5 signatures. So the next and final step will be to add all the fun ephemera and embellishments. But that will have to wait until the next episode. Hope to see you then. Love you guys. Mwah! Mwah!